Sankey came out and said, Jaden Rashada lawsuit against Florida. Billy Napier, I'm not a fan of lawsuits, he came out and said. Is this a precursor to saying we're going to break away from the NCAA? I'm trying to put that energy out in the world that we're going to be the SEC, which we don't tell on each other league. We don't tattletale. We do everything under the table and have done that way for a long time. He is obviously probably going to be the commissioner of football if this does break away into a group or Power 5 type of deal without the NCAA, which I think is happening sooner than later. Not a fan of lawsuits. Listen, we had the lawyer on last week. What's your take on Sankey? Because he kind of seems to be the guy that gets it. He's not a tattletale guy, and I love that in football. A lot of these other commissioners are not that way, and they'll throw you under the bus in a heartbeat.
Look, we know the SEC and the Big Ten is going to break off. We know that the structure of college football is going to be significantly different than what it's been for the past 120 years within the next 5 to 10. Look, Sankey just may be sick of this, but it could be his way of telling kids and his parents, stop putting yourself up for auction. Jesus Christ. I think whatever Rashada was promised, if it's a binding agreement, should be paid. But at the same time, I don't have a lot of sympathy for them either. I remember about 2 years ago on a Miami Hurricanes space when Rashada was still a Miami commit and all this was going on. I said, guys, here's the problem. You don't think him and his father every offseason is going to put the gun to Mario Cristobal and the Miami's head? Let's say he had a great freshman year. Just like, well, hey, guys, sophomore year, we might go somewhere else. Then he has a good sophomore year. Then junior year, hey, where are we going to – it's like, I don't want anyone like that. Right. I don't want to be a cold-hearted bastard, but I'm going to be who I am. If Jaden Rashada ends up being an object lesson on how not to handle it, then so be it. Harlan Rashada has a lot to answer for here. Was this about your son's college education and his career or you? You're a grown man putting your son out. I'm not going to use the term, but let's just put it this way. You didn't have the right priorities. Did you ever once ask, hey, what's your major going to be? Because most likely at age 28, you're not going to play football.
Let's be honest.
I mean, seriously.
These kids are being pimped out by their own blood and flesh.
Well, you said the word, not me, and that's the reality. They could say, I'm looking out for my son. Really? When it involves a job for you. Really? Really?
Hey, I used to see this in the street agent world. These are street agents. These are these 7-on-7 trainer guys. These trainers would take a kid on, and then he would finagle in the circle by backstabbing the high school coach or his own parents. And it's crazy. This is exactly – I've seen this for a long time. I've seen the daddy who's not really involved in the son's life, but then when the son gets a Division I scholarship offer, the dad is all of a sudden in the life and is demanding that he become like this right-hand wing guy of the kid. And it's like, where have you been? And the kid is so vulnerable. He's like, well, I miss my dad. I wish I had my dad all through junior high and elementary school. But now that I made it, my dad is in my life. And then he protects the dad, and then the kid don't get drafted. And guess what? The dad's gone again. I've seen this for a long time.
Right.
And it's like, it's a pimp. You're a fucking pimp.
I was specifically told by the booster that I know very well that is a close friend of mine. He says, Steve, I remember one time where he was driving me back to the airport after that spring game of 2022, and he just goes, oh, that dad. Ugh. And that's the exact same way they say it in boxing when these promotional companies have to deal with these great or these blue chip amateurs, and everything becomes about our signing bonus. Our signing bonus. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? This is about your son. Are you out of your mind? It's just ridiculous. And then the fact, this is how bad it is. Harlan Rashada went to Arizona State, and so they used Arizona State as just a backup plan, and then they just leave them at the first sight that, hey, there may be another quarterback there. Look, the college football will be fine with or without Jaden Rashada. People like him need to realize one thing. You better get yourself into a program and work the program, and then you better make a career out of it, because come next year, there's 200 more quarterbacks coming down the pike. You are more easily replaceable than you think. That's the reality.
Hey, before you get out of here, Steve, right now, like I know it's way too early, but you kind of are in tune with what Miami went through in spring ball. If I'm speaking of the ACC preseason, and I'm sitting here like, are the proverbial favorites supposed to be? Is it Florida State now over Clemson, or is it Clemson still?
Well, based on what's coming back, if Mario Cristobal can't win double-digit games with this roster and schedule, people should doubt his ability to coach football. You got a number one, one of the top 5 quarterbacks. You have a pretty good running back, Damian Martinez. You have a top 10 offensive line. The wide receiver room is probably top 10. Defensively, you probably need another defensive back or 2, but you can mitigate that with a really good pass rush, which Miami has. If Mario Cristobal is going to be good this year and solidify his status, he's got to be Ed Orgeron in 2019. He's got to be Eric Cristobal and play to score points. I don't ever want to hear Mario this year say, well, we're establishing our run. Hey, Mario, establish 50 fucking points, man.
No shit.
There was a game last year we played against North Carolina State where we were scared to death of Van Dyke. It was one of the worst offensive games I've ever seen. It was like 7-0 or some low scoring. He said, man, I love what's going on. We're just being physical. Like, Mario, you're being unproductive. You're wasting a great defensive performance. Look, in college football, you better have that ability to score 40 points.
I vividly remember the day we're sitting right here watching it on this TV to my left when he screwed that up against Georgia Tech or whoever it was, and it seems like the season went straight downhill after the debacle.
And I'm a Cristobal guy, but I didn't like the fact that the press conference, he didn't say that's on me. He said, well, we practice ball timeout, coach. You're the one making $8.5 million. It is your job to say, I f***ed that up. That ball never should have been in Don Chaney's hands.
I think he made fucking $20 million last year, by the way.
And my view is this: if you're the adult, you say to Don, I did that to you. I should.
By the way, Steve, you know if it's like a box, if you're the cut man and you fuck up the boxer somehow and it screwed him up, he's probably don't have the confidence in you for the next fight.
Well, you may not be the cut man.
Right.
Yeah.
Mario does a lot of good things. He knows how to construct a roster. He's a relentless recruiter. He's going to create a pretty good culture. And you're going to be a hard-nosed physical team, but he does have to evolve. And Ed Orgeron in 2019 allowed Joe Brady to take that offense and say, you got Burrow and you got a track team outside with NFL guys.
He went hands off, right? He went hands off.
Basically.
I'm a CEO. I'm not a play caller no more. I need to be hands off, manage this thing, recruit. Similar to Ed and Mario, knowing both of them are very similar in the fact that they are the elite recruiter on their staff. So they are the go-getter on each staff. And then as the head coach, they have the it factor, I believe. I believe the kids buy in, and I think they understand that he's a player's coach, both of them. But when Ed said, I'm going to hire a young upcoming OC and get off of this thing and manage the kids that I recruited, and manage and make sure that they're doing the right thing, is when he won it all. With elite talent and good OC and DC, you stayed away. Guess what? You're still going to get the credit. Mario's going to get the credit if you win, but you're also going to get fired if you lose.
Pride is a motherfucker, though, boss. As a man, as a coach, as a leader, sometimes, you're going to get the credit, but you want to feel like you earned the credit and deserved it by calling the play sometimes. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mario has to have that willingness to say to Shannon Dawson, Shannon, you want to become a head coach? Fine. Score 45 points a game. Because that was what the number one team did last year offensively, LSU. So LSU was about 45.1. Miami actually improved a lot from the first year under Cristobal. They got to about 30 points a game, and that's with the full month and a half of being absolutely afraid of your own quarterback. So they got into the top third of the country at 30 points. If they can get to 37.5 to 40, that right there gives you the ability to win a couple more games. Last year's Miami team should have been about a 9-win team. The Louisville game was another one that they mismanaged. I thought near the end of the half and at the goal line play calling at the fourth quarter. Look, this is a good football team Miami has. Is it a perfect team? No, there are no more perfect rosters anymore. I don't think the transfer portal allows that. But the strength of the Miami defense is pass rusher. So how do you make them play better? You give them a 3-touchdown lead in the second half. I don't think people understand what complimentary football really is. If you have a great set of pass rushers, you have to say to your offense, hey, guys, get me to that fourth quarter up 31-10, and then my pass rushers don't have to play the run the last 15 minutes. But if every game's going to be, we're going to be physical, guys. We're going to run this ball. Great. You're going to play 14-10 ball games, and you're going to blow a game you shouldn't. So you got to be able to evolve as a coach, and I think that's the challenge for Mario Cristobal this season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting college football, period. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting.